Tonight, snowed in, slushy, and slipping around, Saskatchewan recovers from the first snowstorm of the season. And
we must take a different path. And in this province, we are going to take a different path.
The Premier drops hints about what the Sask Party will look to accomplish in the fall legislative session. Plus, Happy Diwali, Saskatchewan celebrates the Festival of Lights, together once more.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Monday, October 24th. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. We begin with stranded travelers and snow-covered highways after that blast of winter that hit southern Saskatchewan yesterday. Some areas received as much as 40 centimeters of snow. As Alexander Kwan reports, the first storm of the season is always a rude awakening.
The first blast of wintry weather caused problems for a province that normally shrugs off anything but the worst of blizzards. Thick, slushy snow helped to close highways and bring down power lines. Krista Erickson left Moose Jaw just before noon on Sunday. She was one of many drivers stranded along the Trans-Canada Highway as traffic ground to a halt.
A lot of, should we turn around? Should we go through the ditch? What should we do? Should we just stay here?
10 hours later, she made it to her destination, while others spent the night sheltering in their vehicles at the side of the road. At noon on Monday, this truck stop in Regina was packed with semi-trucks from across the country. Loads of lumber, gasoline, and even vehicles were forced to wait for the icy roads to clear up.
Yeah, that's why. Everybody is stuck here. You can see lots of trucks, but there is no more parking.
It's the first snowfall of the season in Regina, which will begin enforcing its new snow clearing bylaw. Those who have made a business of clearing snow say they are busy.
Well, my phone's still ringing, but unfortunately we can't keep up. I mean, with the city of Regina's new bylaw to have the snow removed within 48 hours off walkways, so everyone's panicking, more or less, I would say.
The city of Regina says it had its snow plows ready to go before the storm hit. It's recommending the public be prepared too.
To maintain seasonal driving conditions on the road network. Residents are encouraged to leave extra time for travel and plan your routes accordingly.
The snow has already begun to melt in Regina, but as always, the first storm is a promise of more to come. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins us now to break down this storm even more. Ethan, just how much snow did we get?
Well, Natasha, we got a little bit more, I think, than we were expecting in some places, especially in Moose Jaw, where social media reports said between 30 and 40 centimeters. Just to the northeast there in Strasbourg, close to 20 centimeters. Bredenbury along or close to the Manitoba border, and Regina getting close to 13 centimeters as well. And even Saskatoon picking up about 2 to 4 centimeters. In Regina, we reported a gust of wind close to 70 kilometers an hour, so really dropping those visibilities as well. Now, in terms of highways, the Trans-Canada Highway is open now between Swift Current and Regina completely, but travel is still not recommended from west of Moose Jaw to Regina, and there's also travel not recommended on Highway 11 near Chamberlain as well. Some roads closed southwest of Moose Jaw. Power is still out. Some customers in Moose Jaw have been restored, others have not. There are also SaskTel outages as well, Natasha, and both power and SaskTel outages, it could be before tomorrow before those are restored.
Thanks for that, Ethan.
You bet.
The Saskatchewan fall legislative sitting begins this week, kicking off with the government's throne speech on Wednesday afternoon. Today, Premier Scott Moe dropped a few hints of what's to come while speaking at the Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce luncheon.
All of the uncertainty and the chaos that we are seeing occur in the world today, the speech from the throne in Saskatchewan most certainly is going to be focused on unlocking the enormous potential that this province has.
Moe wouldn't provide any specifics of what will be in the throne speech or what legislation may be coming this fall, but he did lay out a few key issues. The provincial government wants more control over immigration and natural resources. Moe also said the government will announce a 9th international trade office, this one in Europe.
That's what this office is about, and it's building on the successes that we're seeing in the other 8 offices that we have operating around the world. So this is really an expansion of our UK office that was doing some work in the European Union, but we feel there needs to be a larger presence there, and so we'll have details in the days ahead on precisely where that office is going to be located, but it will be in the European Union, and that'll be the 9th trade and export office that we'll have operating.
The provincial government's legislative agenda will become clearer on Wednesday. The Lieutenant Governor will deliver the throne speech at 2 p.m. Accused killer Greg Fertuck is looking for a new lawyer. He's charged with killing his estranged wife Sherry in 2015. The trial began in Saskatoon last fall, but 1 year in, his lawyers asked to withdraw from the case. Today, a judge agreed. The trouble began in the spring when Fertuck complained about his lawyers to the Law Society of Saskatchewan, but he didn't tell them that he'd gone to their professional body. When they found out, Maurice Bodnar and Michael Nolan said they couldn't represent him anymore. Given the complexity of the case and the amount of evidence, finding a new lawyer in a reasonable time frame could prove daunting.
We have gone over transcripts and evidence over and over and over. And when you look at it, we're looking at thousands of pages.
Fertuck told undercover police that he shot and killed Sherry, then hid her body. He has since backtracked and said he made that up. A police informant who was central to the largest organized crime bust in Saskatchewan history is dead. Some people think Noah Harder was a villain. Others call him a hero. CBC reporter Jason Warick interviewed Harder several times over the past decade. He joins us now to reflect on Harder's life and legacy. Jason, can you remind us of the details of Project Forseti and Noah Harder's involvement?
Project Forseti was a joint operation of many police forces, mainly in Saskatchewan, but across Western Canada. When they moved in and raided many locations in January of 2015, they seized $8 million worth of drugs linked to overdose deaths across the West. They seized hundreds of firearms. Many of those arrested were members of the Hells Angels or the Fallen Saints motorcycle clubs. One of the only people that was supposedly involved was nowhere to be found. A member of the Fallen Saints named Noel Harder. Now, I had met him previously, so I had tried to get a hold of him. I didn't know where he was. He called me back and said that he was the informant. He was the police agent who investigated secretly, recorded video, gave evidence in all of this. He wasn't claiming that he was a good person. After all, he was a drug dealer and pressured to join the police after he was caught with a load of guns in his car. But he did want to do one good thing that his children would remember.
I really believed that it was an opportunity to do something good, start a new life, do something that my kids could be proud of, leave my past behind forever.
What was the result of Project Forseti?
Well, Harder's evidence and testimony ended up convicting more than 20 people in the investigation. Now, it was a polarizing series of events. So one lawyer who defended several Hells Angels said officials made a deal with the devil. Another called him a narcissist, another a sociopath. One judge called Harder a master manipulator, but others called him a hero. One police officer said he did a great thing for Saskatoon. Another expert said he deserves our respect for risking his life.
Now, you mentioned yourself that Noel Harder was a drug dealer, but you experienced also firsthand his more caring side. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, amid all of the Project Forseti trials, a separate triple murder trial was taking place in Saskatoon. Noel Harder was called to testify, but so was I. The defense lawyers involved in that case believed that I may have information that Noel Harder might have told me that might have been relevant to the murder. We argued that there was no evidence that it was relevant, but in the end, the judge did hold me in contempt of court, seized my notes, and while this was all occurring, I had spoken with Noel Harder, who said that he had heard about this dilemma, and he said that if I was facing prison time or if he was dead, that I could hand over all of the notes from any of our conversations. He said that he knew what prison was like, and he didn't want that for me. In the end, there was no decision to make. The defense backed down. The judge still didn't give us the notes back, but we were able to convince the court to incinerate them.
So what became of Noel Harder after the Forseti trials ended?
Well, I assumed I would never hear from him again. I thought he would be living his life in witness protection. He wanted to live on a beach in Mexico somewhere with his family. But I got a call in 2018, and it was him again. He had been kicked out of the witness protection program. And the reasons are debatable. Some say that he was using drugs, that he wasn't calling his handlers back. And Harder admits to these, which he called not significant violations. He says he was no longer useful to the police. And so he was fearing for his life, and so he wanted to speak to me again in order for his wife and children to not be kicked out of the program. And they weren't, but the day that he had to leave them as they went off to their new lives, he said was one of the hardest things that he's ever had to do.
Is mostly just tears and saying, I'm sorry, and that I love them, and that I'm going to fix it, that I'm going to make it better.
How did Harder spend his final years?
He came back to Saskatoon, and he admits this was the wrong move because that's where everyone was looking for him. And after all, I'd learned that there was a reported $2 million bounty on his head. While he was in Saskatoon, he was again arrested with a loaded gun and other weapons in his car, thrown into jail where he awaited trial for more than 700 days in solitary confinement. Now, the UN considers anything more than 15 days to be torture. Again, he was there for 700 days. We spoke many times, but those calls became less frequent. His voice became weaker and his thoughts were more scattered. He was released 2 years ago. His wife said he was completely destroyed and broken by his time in solitary. And I really didn't hear from any of them until I saw his obituary notice last week and talked to his wife. She said to come to the funeral, which I did, and it was a small gathering where people remembered him as a complicated man, both villain and hero.
Thank you for that, Jason.
You're welcome.
To those who celebrate, happy Diwali. Today, Hindu, Jain, Sikh, and Buddhist communities in Saskatchewan are celebrating the Festival of Lights. And as Pratush Dayal reports, this Diwali feels different than the last two.
For many, Diwali is a celebration of the goddess of wealth, Lakshmi. Followers decorate and put up lights so that Lakshmi can find her way into their homes and bring good fortunes. Meena Sharma usually attends the local temple to sing prayers, then gathers with friends and family.
This is the festival that we always look forward to. There are a lot of planning that we do at home.
Kulwant Rai has been celebrating Diwali in Saskatchewan for the past 45 years. He says there are now thousands of followers in this province, and festivals like these bind people together.
We celebrate with lights all over. So same way we celebrate this day because it's the victory of good over evil, basically.
Though the main celebration falls on Diwali Day, it's preceded by the festival of Navratri, which comes with 9 nights of fasting and dancing. Navratri is dedicated to the 9 forms of the Hindu goddess Durga.
There was a battle that ensued back in religiously. There was a battle that ensued between a demon called Mahishasur and Adi Shakti, which is the feminine power in our culture. And the battle went on for 9 days. So it's celebrated for 9 days. And the 10th day is when she won the battle against him. So that's why feminine power is celebrated.
This traditional dance involves large groups of people dancing in circles around a statue of Durga.
It includes all ages, children, adults, parents, everybody. They all dance together to celebrate this female power.
From Navratri to Diwali, people are relieved they can finally gather after 2 years of pandemic restrictions.
Diwali has come and things have changed and people can get together, can hug each other, shake hands. You can join other people, meet and have fun. Just that Diwali vibe is there.
Now they can celebrate the true spirit of Diwali. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Regina International Airport is ready to welcome visitors to the 109th Grey Cup Festival, even if local fans might not be feeling the cheer. The Saskatchewan Roughriders fell to Calgary Stampeders 32-21 on Saturday, quashing any remaining playoff hopes. Which teams will play at Mosaic Stadium on November 20th is yet to be decided. We'll be back after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear out is on now.
Ethan Williams joins us again for a full forecast. It was a treacherous couple of days for people traveling on Saskatchewan highways.
Yeah, that is right, Natasha. The Trans-Canada closed between Swift Current and Moose Jaw just up until this afternoon. Some highways, as I showed you earlier, are still closed or travel is not recommended on them. And I spoke with one man earlier today who was traveling from BC to his home in Montreal after a 5-month camping trip. And things got bad for him as he got closer to Swift Current.
The snow was melting, but then it was frozen back. So it was like ice mixed with snow. I don't have winter tires, so that was really bad. I slowed down. I was going like 40 miles per hour, kilometers per hour. And I even slowed down to like 20 because it was really bad. I could feel my car going side to side with the big trucks just passing by me. It was really scary.
And Dupuis, that was around midnight tonight that he had to pull over, and he was there until a little bit earlier this afternoon. Now, thankfully, it sounds like he's going to be on his way heading eastward, and you obviously saw he had some camping gear with him there, so he was able to keep warm despite not having any winter tires. Now, this storm system, a little bit unusual in that it produced a lot of snow, but also produced some thunderstorms in southeastern Saskatchewan and even a bit of thunder snow, and that's where we get thunder and lightning with the snow instead of the rain. That's because we kind of have that cooler layer at the surface, but some warmer air upward, and those updrafts are what cause that lightning and that thunder, and even some severe thunderstorms and tornadoes in the Great Plains states of the U.S. associated with this low pressure system. In Regina, though, it did bring some relief for us. This is the first moisture that we've had in the month of October, the most moisture that we've had since July 19th. And it was the wettest October 23rd on record. Those records go all the way back to the 1880s. But there's a big weather pattern change ahead. We're not even going to notice that this storm happened within a few days. And in fact, most of it has moved out now, well into Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, save for some lingering flurries moving on to into the western side of the province. And as that system moves out, winds dropping off a lot as well. In fact, gusts only up to around 40 in the southeast part of the province. They are much stronger as you head into Manitoba. Now, here is that snowfall. The warnings have dropped off now for the Cumberland House and Pelican Narrows part of the province. Some lingering snowfall there tonight. Another system is going to move in as we head through the night tonight and into tomorrow, bringing some flurries, really not much in the way of any precipitation. And then as we get into Wednesday, clouds are finally going to start to clear. The north of the province could see maybe some showers or flurries heading into Wednesday, but really after that, we're looking for sunny conditions and a warm-up, really at the most about 2 centimeters in places like Prince Albert and Hudson Bay. Not much to see there. Wind gusts are going to be fairly light heading through the day tomorrow, and they could pick up just a little bit as we head through the day Wednesday, but not nearly as much as we've seen associated with this system. Now, we are looking for some fog tonight in south and central, and associated with those flurries, we could get some dropped visibility, especially in and around Regina through the wee hours of the morning and into early tomorrow morning. Really, much of the south and central going to be seeing that visibility drop. And even as we head to 9 a.m., places in southwestern and south central Saskatchewan could still visibility could be quite reduced, so do be careful if you're heading out really tomorrow morning at any point, because we don't get any clearing until we really get into the afternoon. Regina, that system going to bring again less than 1 centimeter tomorrow, sunshine, and look at that, even double-digit temperatures as we head into next week. Saskatoon, your normal for this time of year, 7 degrees, and we are going to get well above that heading into the end of the week. So, Natasha, we've come through a bit of a rough weekend here, but it is certainly not going to be sticking around.
That's good to hear, Ethan. Thank you.
You bet.
It's the annual Sheep Parade in Madrid. That's when shepherds exercise their right to use traditional migration routes. They lead their flocks from the northern part of the country to winter grazing pastures in the south. A few centuries ago, that would have taken them through quiet countryside. But today, it's through one of the city's biggest squares, creating a different kind of traffic jam. We'll be back after the break.
There are many people who bring success, innovation, accomplishment, and charity to our community. It's time to celebrate them. CBC Future 40 will honor 10 Saskatchewanians under 40 making a difference. Help us discover the inspiring people in our province by nominating a shining star in your community today. CBC Future 40. For details, visit cbc.ca/future40sk.
King Charles is on his way to London to appoint a new Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak became the new leader of the ruling Conservative Party today. He replaces Liz Truss. 42-year-old Sunak used to be Britain's finance minister. CBC's Abby Kuavasan has more on Sunak's climb.
Rishi Sunak is therefore elected as leader of the Conservative Party.
Rishi Sunak will be Britain's third Prime Minister in as many months. After losing the leadership contest to Liz Truss in September, he will now have his chance to lead the United Kingdom. Over the weekend, Sunak had secured the support of 100 MPs, ensuring he would be in the race. When the deadline to prove that support came and went, his only declared rival, Penny Mordaunt, withdrew her name from the contest. That automatically put Sunak in the Prime Minister's residence.
We now need stability and unity, and I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together, because that is the only way we will overcome the challenges we face and build a better, more prosperous future for our children and our grandchildren.
The Conservatives are deeply divided. That division has led to 4 prime ministers in 6 years already. Sunak will be the 5th. Some Boris Johnson supporters are demanding an immediate general election, echoing the sentiments of the Labour opposition.
That isn't the country we are. That is utter chaos. And I think many people listening would be saying, oh, for heaven's sake, at least give us the choice between a stable Labour Party coming in to govern the country.
Sunak is also inheriting a struggling economy. There was heavy market turmoil after Liz Truss's government unveiled an economic plan, including unfunded tax cuts, policies Sunak had disagreed with. And now he'll be handed the very problems he'd warned her about. Sunak will be tasked with convincing the British public that he is the right person for the job. He's been made Prime Minister by MPs in his own party. Not a single member of the general public had a say. His meteoric rise to the top job comes as he celebrates Diwali. He's the first person of color to be British Prime Minister. King Charles will meet with Sunak to ask him to form a government, likely tomorrow. Abby Kuavasan, CBC News, London.
Nathan is back with a final look at a less snowy forecast.
It's certainly less snowy, Natasha. And in Regina tonight, that doesn't mean that we won't see maybe a few flurries, but certainly nothing we've seen over the past couple of days. -4 at midnight. Southwest winds will be fairly light, but keep in mind even just a little bit of those wind gusts will likely drop visibility a little bit. Reminder that there is a possibility of fog tonight. Tomorrow morning will be at -4. Those flurries continuing. And as we head to the noon hour, those will likely end and we will see cloud cover, but barely getting above the freezing mark. Saskatoon fog is also possible. Likely not going to see those flurries build in until we get to tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll sit at -2. Northwest winds just below 20 kilometers an hour. But I think maybe, just maybe, Natasha, we'll get some sunny breaks as we head to the noon hour.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
That's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask. You can also subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan Williams is back tonight at 11. Thanks for watching.